Started to hear people talking about this idea of cognitive flexibility. Whew, fancy pants. What the heck is cognitive flexibility? Why does it matter? And how do we make it better if it's so important? Well, cognitive flexibility is your brain's ability to shift, hopefully relatively frictionlessly or seamlessly, between very different scenarios, very different demands, ways of approaching a situation. It's really a measure of how cognitively, intellectually adaptable you are. And it's really important in our world because it's really correlated with how open do you stay to different situations and different possibilities. Are you able to learn from one environment and apply it to a different and unique environment? It's part of a whole cluster of skills we call executive functioning. And we call them executive functioning because that helps us think about it as something senior, something a little bit more rare, something that helps us plan and execute our time. So, cognitive flexibility is a really good thing. It's the opposite of us being stuck, falling for biases, getting in a rut, resisting things, applying the same strategy to situation after situation. And if you think about people who kind of, because they've got a hammer, everything is a nail, that would be an example of somebody with low cognitive flexibility. I've just always done it this way, or this worked for me before, as opposed to understanding how the situation is evolving or changing or different and how they need to apply a different mindset, a different set of skills to that novel situation. So how do you get better at it? Because when you are better at it, you're probably going to problem solve more effectively. You're going to be perceived as more strategic, more agile, all sorts of things that are worth investing in. So, how? Well, what you're looking to do is do a better job of integrating new information, adjusting from one situation to another. And we haven't talked about this one yet, but also inhibiting your default response. So that's another big part of cognitive flexibility is we have those knee-jerk reactions or defaults or things that we kind of say without thinking. Part of cognitive flexibility is also your ability to inhibit that. So how do you get better at it? Well, do old things in a new way. Silliest example is you probably drive home from work or drive to the grocery store exactly the same way every time. Just try doing regular things you do all the time, but in a different order, in a different way. Do your morning routine in a different order. See how that changes things. Just practice mixing things up. That's really helpful. Seek out new experiences. So when can you meet new people, interact with people who have a totally different perspective on the world, especially at work? Are there people you could network with from an adjacent industry or a completely different industry? People from a totally different department in your office who are paying attention to different things. Asking them, engaging with them, watching what are they paying attention to? How are they seeing the world? What choices are they making? Novel experiences, and it's not just relationships, have novel experiences. Try things that make you uncomfortable. Many people work on this by doing something like joining Toastmasters to put themselves in an uncomfortable position, have to integrate information in a new way. Once you've done that, spend some time recording and reflecting how you were thinking about it, what you noticed, where you were uncomfortable. Certainly, mindfulness is another strategy in understanding your cognitive flexibility because when we become mindful, we can figure out, oh, what am I defaulting to? How am I reacting to this situation? And the more in tune we get with our default reactions, the more able we are to say, oh, I'm going to choose to behave differently, to inhibit that knee-jerk reaction and to choose a different option because I'm in a situation that demands something different. So cognitive flexibility is something really valuable, something important. It's something that actually can get set in us fairly young in our lives, so we have to be deliberate about trying to build it later in life, but it is worth it. So just make sure that you are paying more attention to what's going on in your head, what's going on in your body, seeking out the kinds of experiences, whether that's doing an old thing in a new way or having new experiences, meeting new people, and then reflecting on what was different. What did you learn? What might you choose to do in a new way this time? All of that's going to start to support greater cognitive flexibility, which is going to be good for how you can solve problems and how you're perceived.